Hi. You don't mind if I just prepare my morning routine while we're here together? You'll hear that in the background. There are some binaural beats. I made these beats so that you sleep. It seems to work well for me, and if when I'm not feeling sleepy, like right now, it's 11:16 in the morning, I'm pretty awake, it tends to activate areas of the brain that have to do with your gamma brainwave activity. And that is the ticket, says my stomach. I just had a red prickly pear fruit. In fact, I should show you it. This red prickly pear fruit is filled with beta-cyanins, which are an extremely powerful and relatively rare antioxidant. We're going to cut into it using a butter knife. It's easy. And from this, open it up. And it's very, very juicy. So you can see all that purple. Looks kind of alien-esque. It's perfect for Halloween time. All that purple pigment is the beta-cyanins. 3 to 4 times the amount of beta-cyanins exist in this red prickly pear than even beets themselves. Look at the color. It's crazy. Those are all antioxidants. And the seeds, if you take your time with them, release a bunch of benefits for your gut, for digestion. And it's soothing because it's mucoso. Hi. Wow, that's a lot of city noise today. Very close too. I brought a few other things with me, so that's a little lesson on the red prickly pear fruit. Removes tons of garbage from your body. And if you give that to your body first thing in the morning, it tends to thank you. These are cacao nibs. They smell like chocolate. It says to reuse the bag, so I do. What if it was the only bag I had for my cacao nibs? I'd have a lot of fondness for this bag. Okay, let's have a look inside. Can you see those? They look like... one just fell. They look like little stones. And they're very oily. So, when you chew them without any sweetener, it might be uncomfortable at first. But I like the flavor. Tastes like a nut. with lots of coffee and chocolate. It's really terrific. First thing in the morning, along with some matcha. And I always chew it up really well, because the mouth is the first stage of digestion. Lots of fermentation happening there. So I'm taking today, I feel like having some extra energy from the matcha. So I'm having about 3/4 of a tablespoon, which is a lot. And I'm going to add some ashwagandha. I wonder if I brought it to the table. I don't think so. Oh, I see it. In addition to some ashwagandha, I brought over some Himalayan sea salt, which is jam-packed with minerals. It also happens to have iodine, which is often in deficiency in most people. Okay, so I added some matcha, and I just had some cacao nibs, though I'd like to have some more. I find that these nibs are excellent for assisting the process of morning digestion because of the amount of magnesium and zinc. No ink, only zinc. Magnesium and zinc. Here is ashwagandha. This is from a root, and it smells like horsehair. That's typically how it's described. So if you've ever been to a farm and you've smelled horsehair, then you'll understand what I'm saying and say, wow, that's very accurate. It also is woodsy and earthy. And what it happens to do for the male body is incredible, especially an older man, not old, but older, like myself, 46. I'm having a nice amount of ashwagandha today. And it's because I am accustomed to having ashwagandha. If you do not accustom yourself to it slowly, one increase at a time, you may find the side effects of ashwagandha to be quite disturbing, as it leads to an incessant itching. I sometimes get it on my nose. Some days, it's all around my body, and it tells me I should probably be dialing it back. However, since I am seeking activation and energy today, even though you may be sleeping in accordance to my voice, that's great. I, on the other hand, am looking for a boost. So, I'll be adding some ginger. About a half tablespoon. That's going to be really anti-inflammatory. It's going to kickstart my stomach, boost my metabolism, reduce inflammation, reduce pain. And last but not least, this is curcuma, but it's actually turmeric. And I'm going to have a lot today, about a tablespoon. You can use this as a coloring agent. It's very sacred. It's also a relative of ginger. Also a root. Excuse me. Cheers. So I've had a few things added to this concoction. You may be wondering what I'm going to do with all of this powder. And what I'm going to do is make a few balls. I'm going to make some balls with them. But I'm going to add a little pinch of Himalayan salt first. And just for the heck of it, because salt is important and we are the salt of the earth, so going to go right in. And this is going to be my morning salt to get the electric mind going. It's really good. It's salty, but it's good. Now I'd already done this. I already took some black peppercorns and went ahead and chewed them because of the piperine that's inside these. Activates the curcumin that's in the turmeric. So it serves as a precursor. I'll just show you how I do it. There are a few peppercorns. And just chew them up. Really citrusy. Tastes great with the cacao. So you can do that. You can have it with the cacao. In fact, I'm going to do some of that now. It has citrus notes, coffee, and when you add it with the chocolate, it's great. A little bit of salt. So all of this serves a purpose. I'm accomplishing a few things right now with my body before I've really had anything to eat. I mean, this is technically breaking fast. Because of the caloric intake, the body's going to know to continue working, and that's fine. I'm just trying to give it the purest food that it can have to just kind of cleanse itself before the day begins, which will require a lot of effort every day. Okay. I mean that. It requires effort to create. This is some cold pressed avocado oil. I'm going to take about 1.5 tablespoons of this to add to the powder that we made. Now women may be asking, can I have this too? Are there any contraindications? There always are contraindications if you're pregnant, or if you have not yet reached puberty. So this is for those who have already reached puberty in the development of your sex characteristics, your secondaries. And why I'm saying all this is because some of the herbs that are in here are designed for adults to help with adult hormone production and to encourage adaptogenic activity in your body that otherwise would be not responding in the same way if you were not an adult. That's really the only contraindication. The rest, these are Ayurvedic herbs. So, they're Ayurvedic herbs. They've been used in practice for health for thousands of years. Before there were doctors formally certified and before the universities had come about, we were using this medicine with surety on the daily. So I'm going to have a little extra bit of turmeric with neem. And neem is an Ayurvedic herb. This is curcumin with neem, as you can see. Neem is an Ayurvedic herb, like the rest. Ashwagandha, turmeric, ginger. They're all part of the family of health for morning supplements, however you wanted to ingest them. Whenever you ingest them, I'm choosing the morning for digestion. and for functionality. Neem is excellent for clearing up your skin. So if you have acne issues, neem is extremely helpful. I'm just mixing together our powder. Remember, this is a charge of cacao nibs, Himalayan sea salt, and if you have Celtic salt, even better. Turmeric, ginger, ashwagandha, and remember I also had some black pepper, which I chewed directly, and I'm going to add a little bit of the water that I made this morning, which is just any filtered water you can get. Ideally, if you can get spring water, it's better. With some lime juice, freshly squeezed. That's it. A lot of people say, well, I heard acid leads to disease, which is not a lie. There is some truth to that. And so when people think of something like lime juice, they're probably thinking this is a lot like lemon juice. Very acid-based, bitter, which it is, until the combination of its structure, molecular structure, combines with your digestion and the way that your body is designed. Lemon and lime juice, especially lime juice, becomes extremely alkalized in your body. It's just the ball. Looks like a ball of dung. That was a lot. By the way, turmeric stains. So, as you can see me holding it in my hand, my fingers are now turning golden yellow. They are getting stained, so you may want to eat this with a spoon and not be as adventurous as I was saying before, that if you're a female, what will this do for you? If you are a healthy female who has gone through puberty and you are consuming these things, neem, turmeric, ashwagandha, moringa. I could say moringa is just miraculous all around. And if you are lactating, if you are breastfeeding, there's nothing better for the quality of your breast milk than Moringa oleifera. This is grown in most climates. It's an incredible superfood. It comes in the form of a tree when it's allowed to grow. And it's little tiny, they're oval-like leaves. They spread in clusters, and then they flower and produce this beautiful seed. You can eat just about any part of the plant with little to no contraindications. And the seed shell casings can be used for the filtration of water when you're in a pinch. It's an incredible, miraculous plant, Moringa oleifera. I also learned about its filtration properties for the body. So this is just inviting a deep cleanse, and I'm about a third of the way through my turmeric ball, as it were. I usually have about half. I save the rest if I want a boost of energy during the day. You may find this is too bitter, so you can add local honey. Make sure the honey is local. The reason for that is because you get the benefits of what is around you all the time, that the bees are picking up and building their sustenance on. I just realize, from a vanity perspective, my right shoulder rises. And I don't know if it has to do with alignment of the camera or habit or both. These are the things to think about when you're recording ASMR. Oh, I brought a few things for this gathering we're having. How are you? This is a gathering. And if you were wondering if this was just for you, it is. I started thinking about that, how there is no separation between us, other than that which we perceive as separate. And I realized everything that I talk about wanting to do in some way, shape, or form has to do with me succeeding with my children, that's a very strong narrative. So, this is for my children, each and every one of them, individually. And if you ever see yourself as a child, like if you ever feel that in this moment you're more a child than an adult, know that you are accessing your highest faculty, the imagination, and that will bring you your salvation in life and your relief from pain, more than these cocktails or anything I could be saying to you. Come to love yourself first. The rest will follow. Okay. So I'm about halfway done with the turmeric balm. It's very bitter this morning for me on my palate. It's probably because I had 2 red prickly pear fruits. We call them tuna roja here in Mexico. Easier. Tuna roja. Red tuna. It looks like a tuna when you open it, when you take it out. Listen, we're going to talk about this. You just have to be patient with me, okay? You know, I almost forgot. I forgot to tell you. In the excitement of our meeting today, as spontaneous as it is, I brought some fireworks or firecrackers. I'm going to pick the reddest of the bunch. This one has had a chance to really develop its capsaicin. You can tell it's sweating from within and wanting to let go. This is an endorphin creator. In the last few days, I've had mixed feelings. One day, it was very hot and burning my mouth, and then the other day, it wasn't. It's because every single one is different. All is to say, it's time for the endorphin rush of the morning. And this is hugely beneficial for men and their prostrate. So, there we go. I'm doing this to comfort me, not you. Don't worry. It's a very yellow orange. And when you swallow, the capsaicin kicks in. I'm going to get hiccups. I had hiccups yesterday too. Guilty as charged. Heat's building. Yeah, heat's still building. There's the first hiccup. Stomach saying, no, you didn't. One was hot, I would say probably 150 to 200,000 on the Scoville scale. That was a good one. Mucous membranes are activating my nose. But I think the peak is here of the pain, of the sensation of pain. It's burning. It is at the same time soothing. It's hard to explain. It burns and it soothes. And when you get lost in the pain, it intensifies. I want to drink water to wash it down, but I'm giving myself a chance to really feel it. Now the breathing is clear. So let's do a little bit of alternative nostril breathing. Is it my illusion? Do you converse with the Almighty? I've come to such a conclusion. I'm not a tough guy. I want my water. All right. nostrils are clear. Stomach is saying, all right. It was painful, but I feel the relief. And now we can sink into the exercise that I wish to have with you today. So I brought with me today a number of receipts. These are receipts from when I've made purchases in Mexico. And we're going to go through some of these receipts, and I'm going to read to you in Spanish just what it says. But before that, you know what I noticed? I noticed that the crinkling of receipts is especially lovely. Especially if the receipts are dry and crisp. It's about the sounds, folks, the sounds. Well, let's have at one of them now, shall we? How dare the refrigerator turn on without permission? That was very rude. Anywho, I have this receipt here. I'm not going to read the exact location because that's dumb. And we're not about reading dumb things here. As I read this receipt from Mexico City, it says here, régimen de opcional para grupos de sociedades. That sounds like propaganda. I'm just kidding. I'm not here to label what I'm reading. I'm just here to be your friendly AI assistant. So allow me, while not taking responsibility for anything that I generate, including my visceral responses, all managed by God, mind you, just allow me to read this nonsensical, beautiful manifestation of God that occurred on September 28th, 2024 at approximately 11:19 in the morning. There was a purchase of 4 Vitagua agua. 4. Can you believe I purchased 4 2-liter bottles of water? 4. Now that was pretty hefty. It ended up being 120 pesos for 8 liters of alkalized water. So we have to figure out now How much is that? And how much water should be rationed per day to build a budget for water here in Mexico? If you were traveling, or if you were an extranjero, then you would be wondering these things. Well, since the new president has come into power, I'm saying just a few months' time, the value of the United States dollar has gone up in value when juxtaposed against the Mexican peso, quite significantly, mind you. To give you some perspective, in May, the peso was quite strong against the dollar at that time. I would say closer to maybe 16 and a half pesos to the dollar. It's at about 20 now. So, now that you know the exchange rate and how it has nothing to do with the rewriting of the Constitution of the Republic of Mexico, of course it would have nothing to do with that. That's no alarm. It's happened 4 times before, is what our president tells us in assurance. It's already happened 4 times, therefore it's okay to do it again with this small group of people who happen to have judicial jurisdiction. We're just going to trust the process, right? And as that said, you'll notice there's a juxtaposition of price versus the value of the words being said. And the value of the Mexican peso at that point goes through a panic of its own. Meanwhile, Americans are becoming more wealthy. There might be a reason for that. But who am I? I'm just your friendly neighborhood ASM artist. And I don't want any trouble. I'm a permanent resident of Mexico, and I love this place. Not enough to not be able to let it go. That goes for everything in my life after you've lost enough. And what that does is it places you in this position where you can be free to speak how you feel without the consequences being too overwhelming in your mind. Once you lose the fear of death, once you lose the fear of loss, once you lose fear, it gets replaced with a confidence that assures you, as well as it assures you when you wake in the morning into a brand new day. You are granted this guarantee, always. Has there ever been a day where you didn't wake? How did you experience it, if so? That said, regardless of where you are in life, 120 pesos equals $6. So if there are 4 bottles at 2 liters per bottle, and you are approximating between 1.5 liters to 2 liters of consumption of water per day, ideally 3. Let's just be generous with ourselves and say we're drinking 3 liters. How long will 4 bottles last? And you have to ask yourself that. There are times when you have to ask yourself that, because we are working off of the currency, and the currency is here to serve. Your currency of energy in the body, adenosine triphosphate is what it's called, ATP. It's designed to serve you, as is money designed to serve you. To better understand, if you needed to budget, what would your budget be for water every 3 days? And you can break it down to its approximately, in probability, between $1.50 to $2 a day for water. Now, over the course of a month, that's $60, right? Because there are 30 days in the month, you got $60. That's your water cost. Now, let's say you can get a kilo of that red prickly pear fruit, and you know it's about 90% structured water. You hear a lot about structured water. You saw the geometrical patterns when I bit into that fruit, and it was filled with these violet colors from all the beta-cyanins, that beautiful antioxidant. You could see all of that formation of color and how the seeds were separated in a way that mirrored how it appeared on the outside with its spines. For this fruit is the result of the nopal cactus. And the nopal is a sacred plant. In fact, it's so sacred in Mexico that it's part of the Mexican flag. Yeah, you'll see an eagle landing on a snake, becoming like the serpent bearer Ophiuchus, the forgotten astrological sign, landing on this serpent and dominating it. It's this idea that the nopal is about longevity and overcoming obstacles. You see, it grows in the desert. It's a cactus. And to defend itself from attack, it develops these spines. And these spines are used by the plant through evolution for protection. But we as humans and tool makers, we come to that plant with a knife or something designed specifically to strip away these spines. We start to realize that this underneath is hugely beneficial, like aloe vera. Coats the stomach, offers antioxidants, trace minerals, hydration, all of these things offered by this beautiful prickly pear cactus, the nopal. But that's not all. You let it grow without harvesting those leaves, and you show the patience by propagating as many as you want, by cultivating. You suddenly discover that you've got more cactus leaves than you need for consumption. Same thing with your friends and family. They say, hey, we've got plenty. We've got it in our soups, we've got it on our tortilla, we've got it on our sandwiches, and we got plenty of corn growing too. And so, the cactus goes undisturbed for a season or two. People may be grabbing a leaf from time to time because it's so abundant. Next thing you know, here comes a sequence of flowers. They hadn't been observed before, and it's quite miraculous. And from there, forms into this fruit. And the fruit, it looks like a pine cone. It looks like something sacred. It's got the geometrical patterns that everyone has been seeing when they consume this other cactus, hikuri. And so they're wondering the same thing. Will something come from this plant if I eat it? Well, we have to open it first to figure that out. So they let some of them grow, and they change in color and develop this beta-cyanin. And that becomes perfect for the immune system. It coats the stomach. It allows you to overcome painful situations as they're introducing these hotter and hotter chilies, constantly testing the immune system. The Aztecs and the Mayans. And so this beautiful fruit, you wouldn't know unless you had the courage to de-spine it, because it's all around it. Spines. You have to cut it open with some tool, or else you risk getting all those spines in your skin. Don't worry if you do. They carry with it their own benefit for your immune system as well. It's all there for your benefit. So you open that up and you see inside it looks just like a fish. A fish in the desert, a tuna. And it's filled with all of this sweetness, the sweetest apple you'll ever have in your life. But you're in the middle of the desert, and it's cool, and it's savory, and it's delicious, and it's a return on investment from your faith, your desperation. You needed something. You went through the spines, you didn't have the tools, but you made it through, and you were rewarded. So if you can find prickly pear fruit in your supermarket for like 5 pesos a kilo, which is like 30 cents a kilo, it would be wise to have them regularly available for your consumption. 90% water hydrates your body beautifully. So I drink the water that I have here in the bottle to wash that capsaicin down while it's being soothed out on part of this beautiful prickly pear cactus fruit. So some days you're not going to drink as much water because you got the water from the prickly pear fruit, from your melon or watermelon, from your cucumber, any gourd. You got a lot of water from that. And you got the benefits, all of the trace minerals, the antioxidants. Then of course you have to have variety in your diet, because if you don't have variety in your diet, you'll start to get bored of what you're eating. And if you get bored of what you're eating, it just won't work. So here's a beautiful recipe that I'm going to share with you that will make you famous in your circle of friends for having made the perfect fish tacos in just a minute. First thing you need to do is get yourself some fresh tortilla. You can do that. Preferably you want corn-based. If you can get a nice thick corn tortilla, I'll show it to you. I don't cook anything in the microwave because it kills all the nutrients, but I do store things in it with it unplugged. These are tortilla made from blue corn. They have that distinct bluish color. And all you do is you take 2 of these, okay? 2 tacos or 2 tortillas the Mexican way when you're having a proper taco, especially a fish taco that's usually juicy. You're going to cook this on high heat, direct on the pan. If it's non-stick, it'll work better. But directly on the pan, high heat until it toasts on both sides. You're keeping them together while toasting them so that the middle becomes softened by the heat, but it's not charred. It makes it more like a pizza dough. And while it cooks on one side, so you have your 2 tortilla, they're cooking on one side. It gets toasted. You flip it around, And then you open up a can of tuna, which you can do quite easily because there's a tab on top in most. You're going to open up a can of tuna. And once you have the lid off, take some Himalayan or Celtic sea salt and sprinkle it on top of this. Even if it's salted, sprinkle it on top of the tuna. And then, if you're really lazy, you just get some salsa verde and some pickled habaneros that are already cut up. I'll show you. It's important to understand if you're eating fish tacos and you're not introducing salsa verde, you're doing it wrong. This from La Costeña, rajas de habanero, which is slices of habanero. Okay. I normally don't get this brand. I needed it as a replacement, which I'm grateful because it's actually hotter than the other one that I use, and I forget the brand name. I like it hotter. Okay, this says molcajete salsa verde. Fancy, right? You may see that the color inside is a bit greener than how the bottle is designed. That is because I'm reusing this and making my own salsa. If I have the opportunity to make my own salsa, you can bet I'm going to do it. Here's how you do it. You got to get some green tomatoes, folks. You got to do it. And the way that you're going to get green tomatoes is you have to go to a specialty food store, in most instances, unless you're in Mexico. But you go to your foreign food section, or store preferably, and they're all going to have green tomatoes there. They're part of the eggplant family, I think. I know tomatoes are. Maybe the green tomatoes are closer to eggplant than I thought. They develop this beautiful shell, like a paper shell on the outside, when they're ripe. And when you peel that off, they stick to your finger. They're really sweet and sour. So you add a bunch of green tomatoes to your blender with a bunch of cilantro direct, some sea salt, and some habanero peppers to your liking and heat. But that's it. Lime juice to give you the acid. But that's really it. And so I use this, and I put it right on top of that tuna. So remember, you've cooked the tortilla, you flipped it, and now it's cooking on the other side, and you've got this toasted side before you. So you take the tuna, you're not even cooking it, because you've just salted it. It's going direct, right on top. And then you take some of this salsa verde and you pour it on top with some strings of habanero. It's going to be hot, and it's going to be the best thing you've ever had in your life. So you bring it to the table and you say, eat this now. And for those who don't like heat, give them cream. That's what sour cream is for. It helps with moving the capsaicin out through the mouth, and it's soothing. So, also in Indian dishes, it's called raita, which is like a yogurt. So you might want some variety from time to time. If you're just having eggs every single day and you're eating the same tortillas, try a different tortilla color. Make your own salsa verde. And I'll tell you that it's not that expensive. So I got a bunch of habaneros, like maybe 30, and that was 13 pesos. So it was about 75 cents. The green tomato, I got about a kilo, which is 2.2 pounds, for 44 pesos, which is about $2. The tuna roja is normally 34 pesos per kilo, which is 2.2 pounds, which you'll probably get about 7 or 8 fruit at about $1.50. So I got 1.5 kilos of that for about 50 pesos. That's $2.50. All in all, after everything was said and done, I also got myself a nice watermelon. Sandia. Let's read everything. Tortilla de maíz amarillo. Tortilla de maíz amarillo. And that was 75 cents. Or 15 pesos. 15 pesos. Then there was tortilla de maíz blanco. Tortilla de maíz blanco. That was also just under 15 pesos. 14 pesos y 56 centavos. Huevo rojo bachoco. Huevo rojo bachoco. 67 pesos cada unidad. En total, 134 pesos. Una rama de cilantro, 10 pesos. About 50 cents for the cilantro. And that's the rest. I've already mentioned tomate verde, tuna roja, chile habanero. I've already mentioned all of these. And now we come to el total, the total cost of all of these goods. 319 pesos y 95 centavos o 320 pesos. So now we have to use our math caps, folks. I have tortilla, I have watermelon, I have 2 big packages of eggs with 36 eggs in each, so 72 eggs. A bunch of cilantro, got the green tomatoes, got the habaneros, and I've got the red prickly pear fruit. 320 pesos for all of these items in total. How much is that in US dollars? Well, the easy way to do this is you're going to divide 320 by 20. Just cut it in half. And it's going to give you approximately $16 cost. It's around $16 at current exchange rate. And this is enough food for several days. So remember now, we have the budget from water, which is daily about $2 to $3, being generous with ourselves with the budget. And we could say, let's say we have 72 eggs, right? 2 packages of 36. What if you were to have 6 eggs per day? 3 in the morning, 3 in the afternoon, evening, or however you want to eat them, but you're allotted 6 per day. How many days until you are done with a single package? Right? That's 6 days, 36 eggs. So you know if you have 2 packages, that's 2 sets of 6 days food. That's 12 days. That's about a moon cycle. It's almost a half a month. That's 6 eggs per day. And now you know if the total cost is 134 pesos, then you just divide that by 2 and it gives you an approximation of what your cost will be in US dollars in accordance to current exchange rates. So for eggs to have budgeted out at 6 eggs per day, 2 packages worth at 36 eggs per package, at 72 eggs, that gives you 12 days of food. 12 days for the cost of 134 pesos. So that's about a half $1 a day, $0.75 for your protein source. And your omegas, most of that you need. Now the rest that were luxuries, the cilantro, the tomate verde, the habanero, the tuna roja, the sandia, all boost circulation, blood flow, increase testosterone for men, and help to flush out impurities from the body. So all of this for a $16 purchase to sustain oneself for at least a week or more with all of the ingredients, depending on how much of the salsa that you use. Some days you use more, some days you don't use any. But there's variety and flavor. And when you add these tuna cans, it's like, how much is a tuna can? It's like 25 pesos, so $1 to $1.50 for a can of tuna. You get tons of omegas. You get protein. And you get that extra Himalayan or Celtic salt on top. On a freshly toasted tortilla that has the softness on the inside and the crunch on the outside, absorbing up all of these juices, the oils, and the oil from the salsa verde, and from the habanero you're getting some of that capsaicin, which is opening up your receptivity to pain. Yet at the same time, if you need to cool it down, you've got the yogurt, you've got your cream. I just prefer not to have it because I get most of my dairy from butter. I do. I get most of my dairy. I get a big block of butter. I'm going to show you what I get. I get this large block. It's a kilo of Aguas Calientes butter without salt. Now it's pasteurized, which I would prefer to have unpasteurized options, but it's fine. You have some options if you live in rural areas to get local butter. That's the best way. But this is where I get all of my dairy from. And I use large pats of butter, I mean tablespoons, with my eggs. And just lots of salt. And I know you may be thinking, like, what the hell is going on here? It's all the stuff that I was told not to have. It's kind of the point. You're craving it, aren't you? Just like you're craving the sun, aren't you? Just like you're craving fresh air, aren't you? And the security of knowing how much your day is going to cost, and then forgetting all about that. Going away from that and stepping into a totally new you. Think about if you can imagine having all of those things I just showed you without any process involved. They're just with you. No one can deny that they can do that. However, the large majority will deny the exercise for the sake of the ego, convincing them that their identity and their intelligence that is self-proclaimed and procured is more important than the idea that you become what you think about. And until you understand that you become what you think about, you'll just be collecting receipts without paying attention to them, without reading them, without thinking, what does this mean? It's important to understand where the energy goes. And this is what presence gives you. Presence gives you the opportunity to observe where your energy goes, which is your attention. So by knowing where your attention goes, you can pinpoint the source from that. Because whatever you're pouring your energy into on the opposite side is its origin in the form of a feeling. And if you can connect with that origin, that feeling, then you have communed with creation. And the more that you can relax into that state of being and absorb the communion, the greater you feel, the faster the relief, the sooner the miracles happen. The best part is it requires no participation on your part. How cool is that? No need for a plan, no need for affirmations or even the reassurances of these words. For it is all just a reverberation of your process that's already in motion. You are already improving yourself, for you would not be here if that weren't the case. Same goes with me, my dear friend. So, what did you learn today about the cost of things? And how is this being paid for? Is it because of gifts? Is it because of some miracle? Is it any different than anything else? The cost of things versus their acquisition, or your self-denial of them by thinking in lack. Is any of it different in the mind of God? And the answer is no, there's nothing different in the mind of God, but thinking it makes it so. So if you're seeing these prices and they seem like they are large prices, I say to you 111 pesos for 3 days of water. Depending on how you look at money, you'll either decide that it's something or nothing, or it could be just miraculous, the fact that it's so little. Better to have that mindset. It's so miraculous that it's so little. Why? Because you're setting the expectation for the Lord to do something greater. So what if you could add a few zeros to these figures and change them to dollars? What would it mean to you? Understanding that you're not taking away the meaning of how inexpensive these items are. You don't take away that label. But you go with that label, stepping in to seeing these numbers with extra zeros added, I'm saying on the left side of the decimal point. And you're seeing this number as expansive, but at the same time you carry with the feeling and the meaning that it was inexpensive, affordable. What are you bringing in at that point in time as far as value or feeling of self-worth? Take away those zeros now. You still have everything that you just imagined having in order for this to be inconsequential in price. Even with the 2 extra zeros added to the left of the decimal point, you were fine. And now you've come back and the prices have dropped and you have the same amount that you had when you added those zeros. In order to afford them cheaply, in the example, you had an idea in your mind. You had an image of how much that was in your mind, and you can't take that away. Because you made the purchase, you got the receipt, you got the evidence, and you got the zeros added. The subconscious is looking at all of this as input, is not labeling it as good or bad. None of that applies. All that applies is where's your attention going, for how long, and how intensely are you feeling this experience. That's it. How intense is the experience? How long are you spending your time doing this? How much of a priority have you stated this to be through your actions and your feelings and your words? Leaves an impression, and that impression continues to express itself. Becomes habit over time. So the way that you see this, just a piece of paper with symbols on it, will present to you any number of habits that have been developed. Habits to look into things more, habits to run away from them, to avoid them like the plague, to state and announce how it's never worked out, you've never had the amount that you needed in order for these things to happen, and you've tried and tried and tried and tried. These are all narratives. They're constructs. Before you were a name, this construct would have no meaning to you. You can agree with me. These things that bother you now, if you were to have just been born, they would have no meaning to you. They may be uncomfortable. Like a dog feels discomfort. You can tell. You can tell when a dog is in pain. It doesn't have to communicate it to you. It doesn't have to say it to you. You just know. So that doesn't go away. That is a part of us. We feel things. We're beings of feeling. That doesn't go away. However, what can go away is the story that we attach to it, that holds meaning, that directs our behavior every single day in every interaction that we have. We can change that. And when you start to change that, you realize that what you've been doing and changing is actually more of a cleaning. You're sweeping away the things that used to have an impact on you and don't in the same way or don't at all. And thus, they dissipate on their own without any need to do a thing. That's why I said to you, step out of the plan. Step out of the plan. You have a plan in your mind. It's what you need to do for a day, every day, in order to survive. If you don't have this plan, then you don't survive. Okay, that's the program. Okay? That's the program that runs right now with momentum. Is that a comfortable plan? Is it a plan that is conducive for your peace and health? How does it affect others? And the answer should be very clear, that it's hell. It's not mesmerizing, it's not enticing, it's not enjoyable, it feels horrible, it's hell. Trying to plan how to survive is hell. Because it goes against all of the fundamental principles that the universe already has in motion. You're going against it. So it's throwing your body against a whirlpool. And you're right on the fringe. It's hell. And all I'm trying to tell you is, I've been at this for 1 hour and 20 minutes now to tell you, your definition of your pain, your stories, they may have a lot of meaning. They might be really important to you and to others and to the world. It may be important. It's because you put that much importance into it. But you can't deny that it doesn't come from a source of confusion that leads to pain. You're saying no to your life right now. If you are saying no to your life for any reason, whether it be pain, lack of mobility, lack of finances, lack of love, any feeling of scarcity that you may have, which is the scare city. Come on, folks, there have to be catchphrases here. If you are stuck on any of those things, if you are saying no to something in your environment right now, including this recording, which is designed for you to heal, then you are in an illusory state. I like to say illusory. Some people say it's illusory. But I don't want to call you a loser. I want to call you illusory. You may be in a state of psychosis where you can't leave this concept that is so traumatizing, so difficult, so damaging, and the ego saying, yes, give me some more of that life force because I need to live off of you. There's a phantom that lives off of you. Talk about scary. Is the phantom that lives off of you by claiming that your freedom exists in acting out scenarios against an environment that wants to hurt you. That's the narrative that your ego feeds you. Come and fight this impossible foe. I'll be here with you against everyone in the thick and thin. You will know that you matter. Your identity. Because here's the thing, the ego can't come to you right now in this moment. It needs time. That's why it's a phantom, because time is a phantom. Without it, you would be immortal, and you are immortal. Until there's time, and then when there's time, there's a construct that is made that has a beginning and an end, and thus anything that you place in it, including your belief of who you are, is subject to that timeline, becomes ephemeral, and is just a blip on the radar in the reel that is the movie of life. It's not even a single frame, it's just a little corner with a little pixel to call its own as your existence. As a name, as a collection of life experiences. And so I get in trouble wanting you to see that. I get in trouble with you wanting to know that there is more, but it's not from what you're seeking. You don't get more from what you're seeking, but you want more. You have to stop and believe that you have it. There's no travel involved, there's no time involved, there's no delay, and there's no regret. You have to have it. So you have to believe that you are it, and you have to believe that you have it now. Until you make that decision, you will be flipping a coin every day. Some days it will work out, but you won't believe it. You will never have faith and belief if you're flipping a coin every single day thinking that the external is what controls things. Do you decide when to breathe? It's pretty easy, right? Pretty joyous when you have a nice deep breath with clean air. Tends to bring you benefits when you do it through the nose peacefully. The entire body seems to respond in a way that is conducive for your health. There must be a reason for it. They must be encouraging me to do this. I must have 2 pressurized entry points for this air with filtration systems included, like a car wash. There must be a reason for that it bypasses the first stage of digestion, this petri dish that's the mouth. And the more you pay attention to the body, the more you'll realize that each and every element of this experience is designed for you to maximize your growth. So maximum capacity to generate energy through ATP, maximum possibility for physical exertion through the development of tools and technology, maximum efficacy for expansion. You're given the hardware that is waiting to be fulfilled, like a seed that needs germination. Your brain is just waiting for its activation. And from that activation comes a true expression of your feeling through the heart. 5,000 times more electromagnetic, or more magnetic rather, than your brain. And down this goes to the chemistry in the gut, which we already cared for about an hour and a half ago. As you can tell, I am in flow. That's what this is. This is just flow state. Some can call it channeling. Other people will say that it's divine intervention, that it's downloading. It's listening to these isochronic tones, which are still here, while also listening to white noise intermittently. And then my voice punches right through between the range of 1,000 and 4,000 hertz. Punches right through. And with my brain working in gamma, the words come from gamma. The vibration comes from gamma. So just by listening to this, you receive it. So why wouldn't I be smiling? I know it doesn't come from me. It comes from my patience to observe my aliveness more than act out some scenario of me recording for an hour and 28 minutes. Now the train is really cooking. We're moving. sounds plus the movement of repetition presents itself as the ocean. So rest, relax, and receive. Be receiving of the ocean's energy. As the moon wanes from its fullness, it is a great time to not take yourself so seriously. To read a few receipts, offer a few stones, and just be for the sake of being alive and observing your aliveness, for things are being rearranged. May seem like a tornado or a hurricane, but I tell you, it has an eye that is self-sustaining and present in your life. It's the capital I. It's the infinite. And that is you. Lest you forget, you can always come back here and listen to this truth. And I appreciate that. Little I and big I both appreciate that. The little I on my phone is the same as yours. We have a game to play here. Let's play it well. Let's play it together. By living and let living and being free. There's only one way to do that. You gotta think it. You gotta think it to feel it. You gotta feel it to realize it. And you gotta realize it to believe it. Or you can believe it before you realize it. That's when you really know. You made it. Te compras colchones, tambores, refrigeradores, estufas, lavadoras, microondas o algo de fierro viejo que se vendan así, pero en serio, tambores se venden. No, nosotros estamos vendiendo tambores. Ellos en la calle están comprándolo. Nunca sabía eso. Qué chido, güey. Hasta la próxima. Los amo.